Okay, so I want to do another video here. This is kind of a re-comparison. I've already done a video comparing these tractor models, these replicas. However, and I may or may not post it, but I wanted to revisit it. And the reason I wanted to revisit it is this is not the same one that I used in the first video. So what we have here is this is the Ertl 164 scale Authentics #1. So this is the first Authentics that Ertl ever made. And it is a John Deere 8530 with front and rear duals, as you can see. And so this was the first. The Authentics, for anyone who doesn't know, it is their high detail collectible version of 164 scale toys. It's like a precision in the 1/16th scale. It's like that. So it's a high detail version. There's a toy version of the 8530 as well, but this is the high detail. The Authentics is the collector's version, if you will, that has details that just the standard's not going to have, such as a opening hood that shows some engine detail, a handrail on the stairs, if you can see that, marker lights, mirrors, more cab interior detail, just things like that, just tidbits like that. It has a full 3-point on the back. We'll get to that in a minute. That's a big deciphering piece. The normal toys don't have hardly anything on the back. So anyway, so this is, one thing I want to compare, and the other is a Speccast Massey Ferguson 8730, which is roughly the same level of detail. It's the same way. This is a collectible, not so much a toy. It has, steerable front wheels. That's another big difference. So some big differences, from the toy to the collectibles. A toy version, now there's not a toy version of this per se, but if there was, it wouldn't have the steerable front axle. It wouldn't have an opening hood. It wouldn't have mirrors and side markers and beacons and just all the little hints of detail, if you were, that these have. So the reason I'm shooting another version of this is because, like I said, this is a different 8530 over here. This is the same Massey Ferguson 8730. And yes, there is a little speck of red paint right there on the wheel. But no big deal. But this 8530, I picked this up on eBay, and the one I had originally gotten was from a collector, so it didn't have a box or anything. It had been displayed, but other than that, it was new, and I paid about $25 for it off of eBay. This one I got for, I want to say, $28, and which is pretty good, because these bring anywhere from 25 if they're out of the box, to there's new ones that will bring $45. New, they brought about $25. What I hated so much about the other one, and why I got this one, was because the other one, the frame was actually bent in a way that the hood was running one direction and the cab was running another direction. So the whole tractor was bent and crooked, and it looked terrible. And I was really kind of disgusted and disappointed with it, because I'm like, it was just ridiculous to me that it was it had only been displayed, so I'm sure it came that way, and it was crooked. It was very crooked. The cab visibly faced to the left, and this one is not perfectly straight. If you look, you can tell the cab's at a little bit of an angle, but this one is at least aesthetically appealing. That other one was not at all, really. So I'm much happier with this one, and that's why I'm doing another side-by-side, as this is kind of a revised side-by-side. So, and one other thing we need to consider is that this John Deere 8530 was the first Ertl Authentic, so it was the first truly high detail 164 scale replica. And that was about 10 years ago when these were made. Okay? So remember that. This is only about a year old. They only released these about a year ago. So we do need to compare some apples to apples, and I think that is a good thing just to keep note of, is that while this one has the edge in some categories, it's 10 years younger than this one. So this was fairly cutting edge for its time. Now, with that said, I do have a preference to the Massey Ferguson. If you ask me which one I liked more, I'd say the Massey Ferguson. Part of it's because it has the single rear wheels. Part of it is I like the wheels on it better. Part of it is I like the way the hood is on this one more. And, you know, part of it is I just like the overall general way that this tractor is built. I like Speccast, and I like it. I think it's a really, really good tractor. And I'm a Massey Ferguson fan. I like John Deere too. That's why I have that one. But I really like Massey Ferguson, and I love the decals. I love the look of the tractor. If one check against it, okay, you can see a screw. There's obviously the head of a screw right there, so that's kind of a check against it. But outside of that, this thing looks amazing. This looks amazing for a 1/64 scale toy, and these only go for about $25 brand new. These, because they're older and harder to find, they go for considerably more. And there's a few ways in which I just don't particularly care for the construction of this tractor, where I think this one really wins. But that's just me. So, just to go over some highlights, this tractor, the 8530, is die-cast. It has a metal hood. The hood's a little sloppy on the back hinges. It's got a lot of play in it. You might be able to see that as I move it. The hood's a little heavier than I feel like it should be as well. It does have holes there. You can see it has actual vent holes. There's the screen underneath. It has some engine detail, but it's pretty lacking. There's not much engine detail there. I don't know. Will the hood stay? The hood will not stay. So the engine detail is lacking, but at least it does have something. The hood's nice. I like the hood. You got, it shows you some decent texture of the grill there. Those lights are painted on. Sorry, I had to look. It's silver paint for the headlights. There, had to get it to focus. The front weights are not the most detailed thing in the world. I've seen better there. It's got some nice screen detail on top of the hood. I mean, that's pretty nice. The front wheels, it's hard to see because of the flash on the camera. That ought to make it better. So these are die-cast. I almost said steel. These are die-cast, these wheels, the rims. But there's no lug nut painting. That's a little disappointing. You can see the caps of the rivets for the axles. I really don't like that. Those should be covered. Those should be covered. I mean, they painted it here, but still, this should be a gearbox, not a rivet cap. So the lack of detail there is a little frustrating. And again, like I say, the lugs are not painted. I don't even see any lug detail on this. You can see wheel weights. That's probably why there's no lug detail. So, I mean, that is what it is. The stairs are there. They're not the most detailed thing in the world. But that's okay. It looks like, I never noticed that, it looks like there's a toolbox there, fuel tank lid. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting it to focus. Here, let me reposition a little bit here. Handrail. You can see the handrail. So nice detail there. No complaints on that. The front axle, it does have a steering linkage, but it's not very good. And so this is a bit of a complaint. That's the extent of your steering. Trying to figure out. So that's the extent of your steering. Sorry, had to get to focus. That's it. Yeah, so that's not the best thing in the world. Detail's not too bad. The cab looks nice. You can see there's some nice little detail in the cab. You can see it has a windshield wiper on the front of the cab. You can see the Green Star receiver. You can see that the warning lights are painted. The beltline lights are painted. The cab top work lights are painted. It has mirrors that do pivot. The only thing is some of the mirrors are loose, some of them are tight, it depends. It has these clearance lights here, if I could get to focus. Here's one thing that I just noticed a few minutes ago. They got the clearance lights swapped. They put two of the same light on here. So I'm assuming, yeah, the red and orange should be on the back. So this one is correct. This one is backwards. And the problem is those are left-right specific, so you just can't flip it around. That's an error that they made. So that's a little frustrating for getting a collector edition tractor that costs so much money. You can see the cab detail a little bit there. This door opens, but I have never been able to get it to open. So that cab door does open, but I can't get it to because the handle's so tiny, there's just nothing to grab there. This is a big difference between this version and the normal toy version. There is a 3-point. And it's a pretty nice 3-point. That hitch looks good. It's got the hammer strap. There's, I don't see a PTO shaft in there. There may be one. It's got a quick hitch on there. It's got your SMV. It's got some hydraulic remotes. There's actually some nice little detail in there. That's nice. And it does raise and lower. You can see the lights on the back. They're good, not great. You can see what I was talking about on the clearance lights there, how they're backwards, or one is backward. Yeah. The wheels, the tires are okay. I'm not a huge fan of these tires. They look a little fake to me, a little toyish to me, but not really the end of the world. You know, this looks pretty nice. I don't know if you noticed, you can see there is some silver reflective on the mirrors there. There's a rear windshield wiper swinging around. I didn't mention it before, but you've got front fenders on it. Some decent little engine detail. There's a rivet there, so you can see a rivet holding it together. So that kind of puts it on par with the Massey Ferguson. Battery box, exhaust pipe, it's all there. So that's it for this one. Nice tractor, nice tractor. Probably not my favorite in the world, but pretty